Today, I'm going to be tackling one of the most overlooked but really most powerful leadership strategies that you can use in your school. And that's unlocking some hidden leadership to boost student achievement by putting teachers in the right roles. Now, when I say the right roles, I don't just mean the grade level or the subject that they're teaching. I'm talking about the leadership roles or the committee seats. And if you have it in your school, PLC facilitation. And of course, professional development opportunities. And maybe even the informal culture building positions that exist in every building. Every teacher brings a set of gifts, talents, and passions, experiences, interests to the table. But too often, those gifts are hidden because we either don't ask, we don't notice, or we're so busy filling gaps that we just assign tasks without alignment, without really paying attention. And when that happens, we miss opportunities to leverage our staff's full potential. Today, I want to look at the why behind this, the pitfalls to avoid, and some practical steps that you can take, and how this all ties back to student achievement. Let's get started. Hi, friend. Are you ready to move into a leadership position? Do you have interests and ambitions that you want to pursue, but feel like you don't know how to take that next step? Maybe you want to start your own coaching or consulting agency. I'm Mel, and I help educators define their career path through correct mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for your career transition. I will show you how to level up your leadership skills, share your expertise in a new way, create impact on a larger scale, and put your leadership in motion. As an educator for over 20 years, I started to feel underused and like I had more to give. I knew when the time had come for me to leave the classroom and affect change on a larger level. Now, I'm ready to help you determine where your talents and skills mesh with your passions and interests. Put your leadership in motion and move into that next phase of your educational career journey. Let me help you define your career path by having the right mindset, knowing your options, and getting prepared for that next leadership position. So power up and put your leadership in motion. Welcome back to the Empowered Educator Show, everyone. I am your host, Dr. Mel Vandevort. So I told you on Wednesday when I published my last episode that I was running a little bit behind on getting episodes recorded and getting them published, or at least ready to be published, scheduled for publication. And I was at a conference the past few days. So as you noticed, there was no episode yesterday, and I am so sorry for that. I was learning so much, didn't have a lot of downtime, was completely brain blocked maybe when I got back to the hotel. Not necessarily brain blocked, but I really had a lot of other things on my mind because of the things that I was learning to be better at my own job. But in the end, I failed to get an episode ready to go for yesterday's publication. So here I am, Saturday afternoon. I've had a few things I had to get taken care of today, but now I am recording and I'm hoping to get a few extra episodes recorded this weekend so they will be ready to go. I'm still working on book publication for Milestones of Women in Education, book number 2, which is Inspire. So I've got that on my plate this weekend as well. But I wanted to get something out for you today, even though it is a day late. So please forgive me and let's press on. One thing that I am really passionate about this year as a superintendent is to make sure that I have the right people in the right places. And that's not just in the classroom. Yes, that is one of the most important things, is having the right teacher in the right classroom, whether that be grade level or subject. But I'm also talking about all of those other places where you can plug them in. So let's talk about how engagement equals achievement. Gallup found that employees who use their strengths daily are 6 times more likely to be engaged at work. and 3 times more likely to report an excellent quality of life. No one wants to go to work and feel underappreciated, undervalued, or especially underutilized. And I'm talking especially when they have gifts or skills that they could bring to the table, and you're plugging other people in those gaps that maybe don't have quite that same skill level. Engaged teachers, they aren't just happier. They bring that energy into their classrooms, and that shows up in student motivation and learning. Distributed leadership equals better results. Leithwood and Jancy, 2006, showed that when principals share leadership and strategically place teachers in roles where they can lead, it has a positive influence on student achievement because it improves teacher motivation, it improves trust, and it improves collaboration. And what about some PLC research? If you have PLCs in your district or your building, Dufour and Marzano, and Dufour is like the PLC guy. They emphasize that the strength of a PLC depends on having the right people leading the right conversations. When teachers with natural talents for facilitating or for analysis guide those meetings, schools see measurable gains in student learning. And that's what we want to see, measurable gains in student achievement. So the why is pretty clear. Matching teacher strengths with their roles, it's not just a nice to have. It's a leadership move that creates a ripple effect from teacher engagement to student achievement. When I was in the classroom, I had principals who did not pour into me. They did not see necessarily those strengths that I had, but I had principals that did. Well, guess what? The years that I had principals who really saw my gifts, my talents, my skill level, and they plugged that in, I had excitement and passion beyond what I normally had. Now, I was always excited to be a teacher. I was always excited to see student achievement increase. But when I was able to help others also bring their student achievement to fruition, oh my goodness, that is such a powerful thing in a school building or a school district. And I saw a classroom teacher who was phenomenal at her job anyway, be moved into a position for intervention, and she became the math interventionist. Oh my goodness, she was on it. She was on fire and she was solid because that was her passion. My point is, when we place people where they shine, we unleash their leadership in ways that elevate the whole entire school. So let's talk about some pitfalls and some fixes to go along with those pitfalls. Pitfall number 1, assigning roles just to fill a gap. Ask yourself, whose strengths align with this need? Don't just plug a hole. Make sure that you are intentional about who you put in that position. Make sure it's somebody who has a desire to be there. Because if you put somebody there that doesn't either have a skill level for that, or they don't have a passion or an interest in that area, then they're not going to give you 100%. And who's going to suffer? The kids are going to suffer. So place with intention. Pitfall number 2, overloading your high flyers. I attended an amazing church in the country, and when we really started to grow, there were just a few of us ladies who tended to carry the load. It's not that way anymore. Everybody plugs in, and it's an amazing thing to see when you see a church that is so well run when there's an event. But previous to that, there were a few of us who just carried that load, and it gets hard. So don't overload your high flyers. Leadership should be spread widely. Give quieter voices or those new staff chances to step up. They might surprise you in what they can do. Pitfall number 3, assuming strengths only show up in instruction. Here's your fix. Look for hidden leadership. Maybe it's a teacher who designs amazing visuals. Sometimes it may be someone who builds strong student culture, or there may be a tech-savvy teacher who can coach others. One time I picked out someone for a leadership position, and I was going to kind of groom them to move into some kind of leadership role or admin role. But I realized that's not where their passion was at. They wanted something different. And you have to make sure that you are really getting to know your people so that you can plug them in the right place. And don't just assume that because they are a natural born leader or they have leadership tendencies that they want that kind of leadership position. This person wanted something different. Now, they weren't just passionate about being in the classroom, and I'm able to put that person in a position that they are passionate about, along with being a fantastic or a fantabulous, which is a country word maybe, I'm not sure, teacher as well. Let's talk about some questions that might come up. Won't some teachers resist? Yes, resistance often comes from fear or lack of clarity. That fear might not be because they don't think they can do the job well, but that fear might be because they think, I'm going to get all these extra duties. I don't know if I have time or capacity for that. So talk with them. Get that information from them so you can figure out a plan together and see if you can work something out. Connect opportunities to their strengths and then provide support. Resistance, it usually fades after that. Another question is, how do I know where people shine? Well, ask them. That's what I did. I pulled everybody in my district in and I talked to them. I asked what their passions were, their experiences, their gifts, their talents. Plus, I made everybody in my district take a spiritual gifts assessment. Now, I didn't ask for their results, but it gave them a little bit of reflection. You can use other survey tools. You can use reflection tools or just some of those informal chats like I had everyone come in my office and chat with me. Sometimes people don't even see their own leadership potential until you call it out. Another question might be, what if I put someone in the wrong role? Well, it's going to happen, more than likely. You just pivot. You're reflective, you pivot, you move forward. Real leaders, they adjust quickly instead of forcing a fit. If they're not the right fit, then you're going to know. They're already going to know. They probably knew before you put them there, and there was probably, like I said, some of that resistance. If that resistance wasn't just from fear or those other things, they just really didn't want to be there, or that wasn't something that was an interest to them, then you're going to know. And again, you pivot and you move forward. Here's your action step. I want you this week to create kind of a strengths map of your staff. I want you to take a sheet of paper, or better yet, a shared document, because I'm a Google person and my staff loves me because of it. And I'm rolling my eyes as I say that because not all of them appreciate my Google abilities or desire. But I want you to list every staff member's name. Next to their name, jot down 2 or 3 known strengths or interests. If you're not sure, like I said, ask them. What parts of your job bring you the most joy? Where do you feel you have the most impact? What's one area outside the classroom where you'd like to contribute? Then look at your upcoming needs, your committees, your PLC leadership, your PD facilitators, and match at least one person's strengths to one opportunity. That single step will begin shifting your culture from compliance-driven to strengths-driven. Guys, when we put teachers in the right roles, not just in their classrooms, but as leaders in the building, we give them permission to shine. And when teachers shine, students succeed. Remember, leadership is not about plugging people into holes. It's about empowering them to use their gifts and their experiences, their skills in service of a greater mission. So this week, go find that hidden leader in your school, tap into their strengths, give them a chance to step forward, and watch what happens, guys, not just for them, but for your whole school community. I hope your first quarter is off to a great start. I can't believe we are closing in on the end of first quarter. This is crazy that we're just a couple weeks away, but It's been awesome for me. I am absolutely loving my job. My professional development this past week was amazing. I learned some amazing things, and you're going to get to hear some episodes based on some of the things that I learned. So I'm super excited, not only for myself and my district, but for you guys getting to have some of the learning that I was able to partake in. And again, let me know what topics or areas that you would like to hear about so I know exactly what I can fill you up with, because I want this to be a valuable show for you. I want you to learn from listening. And I can't do that if I don't know exactly what it is that you want to hear or want to learn. So pop in those show notes and click on the link at the very top of the show notes that says send us a text. I will get your text. I can't respond. Like I said, it's one way, but I will definitely read every text that I get, and I will come up with an episode based on the information that you are seeking. Have a great rest of your weekend. I will see you back here on Wednesday. Bye-bye.